welcome back to my channel. My name is Desmond Z. If this is the first time you've ever in your life seen me. So this is basically a wrap up of the month of March, and I had a pretty decent reading month. I had a pretty good reading month. It ended on a high note. It was a little rocky. It was a little rocky in the beginning, but it ended well. So let's just jump into it. Let's start with His Only Wife. This book took me by surprise. I can also tell you how many times I walked past this book in a specific store in Half Price Books. This book sat in the same spot for like months, and it was the only one there on the shelf, and I would pick it up every single time, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna read this book. I'm gonna read this book. I'm gonna read this book. And finally, I read this book. I gave this book 4 stars. It started off kind of slow for me. I say that all the time about pretty much every book, but some of them start slower than the norm. But this ended on a high note, and I really enjoyed this. It's basically about a woman. What's this woman's name? Afi is a single young girl who's like 20-ish, something years old, I believe. Yeah. Basically, her family is making her marry this man because his family doesn't like his current girlfriend, and they want them separated. They need them torn apart. They wrecking homes around here. So they want her to marry this man so he can get rid of his girlfriend because his family does not like her. At the wedding, he don't even show up because he don't want to marry this girl. He still want to be with his actual girlfriend because he's in love with this woman. He's only marrying her because his family is making him. So he don't even show up to the wedding. He's away on business. So, and they still carry on with the ceremony. This is just you at a party in a white dress and a veil. This is not a wedding, girl. So after that, she has to go to another city or whatever, where his apartment is, his house or whatever, move in with him because he barely spends time there, and try to start a life with this man who does not want her. And so throughout this book, we deal with her like finding out who she is, and her trying to make this man love her because she's only doing it because her family says so. So she's trying to make it work and trying to make this man love her and want to be with her, but he ain't trying to hear none of that. This is a prime example of, girl, go where you are loved. Go where you are celebrated. Don't stay with nobody that don't want you. Oh, I'm talking to somebody. Somebody's listening. I'm talking to somebody right now. I'm talking to you. Please. So I really enjoyed this. There was humor to this. There was drama. There was mess. And it took me on a ride that I did not anticipate. So yeah. Things We Lost to the Water. This is another one that started kind of slow. But this was to the point where I was like, oh, I'm finna DNF this. I'm not getting anything out of this, but I stuck with it. This book is about an immigrant Vietnamese family that immigrates to the US, and they end up in New Orleans. And it starts off in 1979 when they first come here seeking refuge, and it goes all the way up to 2005. And we all know what happened in New Orleans in 2005. So this is basically this mother. She comes here with her 2 boys. The father was left behind, but she tells the sons, the 2 boys, that the father is dead because he didn't get to make it or whatever, for reasons that you find out in the book. The mother is here still missing the husband, trying to raise her 2 boys. The oldest son joins a gang. The youngest son is coming to terms with his sexuality while also trying to find friends and just exist. And as his family falls apart, they try to find their way back to each other, and it takes us on this journey that I just did not expect, and I came to really, really love this family. The mother was Huang, and the youngest son was Ben, and the oldest son was Duong. Hope I'm saying that correctly. I will be thinking about this family for quite some time. It left a mark on me, and I'm really glad that I stuck with this book. Yeah. The Family Child. I did not like this book. I hated this book. I'm so sorry to say that, but it was a 1 star for me. And apparently this is a reimagining of another book. The Family Child is about the Chow family, and we have the dad who they call him Big Leo. He owns a restaurant. They have 3 boys. He has 3 boys, and then he has a wife named Winnie, who is no longer with him. She is somewhere living with nuns in a temple. So the father ends up dead, and we have to figure out which one of these 3 boys did it. That's what was told to me here in the synopsis right there. That's not what I got. That's not the story that I got. What I got was a bunch of senselessness, a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of mess, and not the good kind. It was like nothing was happening and we were all over the place, yet we were still doing a lot at the same time. And it was not until like the last 25% of the book where it was like, okay, now something is happening. And even then, it was like it got to a point where I had suffered through so much that I'm no longer interested now. Because I've read books, like I said before, where like the first half, it kind of was a struggle for me, but the last half made up for it. No, there was so much struggle here that it didn't even matter what happened because I was no longer interested and I just wanted to finish the book. And the only reason I did not DNF this is because I had been on a streak of DNFing books after buying them. And I got tired of buying books and I don't finish them because they're just not what I expected them to be. So I was like, I'm going to finish this because I'm tired of spending money on books. And I don't finish them because they end up being hot ass garbage. My Darkest Prayer by S.A. Cosby, who wrote Razorblade Tears, which we all know. One of the best books you've ever read in your life. It's amazing. He wrote this. S.A. Cosby, My Darkest Prayer. I don't know why. Don't ask me no questions. This book is I always say this book is basically about, wow, I say that a lot. Yeah. My Darkest Prayer is about a man who's a grave digger. This was the book. Y'all didn't see it in my last video. I cut it out because I kept going back and forth and I was like, have I talked about that book or have I not? And so I cut it out because I wasn't sure, and then I went through and looked at my previous video and I found I did not talk about that book. Because I remember making a joke about it. But I feel like maybe I just made the joke to myself and I didn't make it on camera. Because the main character's name is Michael Waymaker. Yeah, so I called him like a waymaker and a chain breaker. Hallelujah, amen. I did something like that. The joke was funny. I laughed. You wasn't here for it, but I laughed. Anyway, this book is about a man who's a grave digger and he's a former U.S. Navy SEAL or something like that, and now he's just digging graves in his town somewhere in Virginia. So a local preacher dies, and nobody is trying to figure out what happened. It's like a open and shut case, but there's some people in the town who don't believe that the police did their due diligence. So they come to him. Nathan is his name. Yeah, Nathan. They come to Nathan and they tell him, look, Nathaniel, we need you to figure out what really happened because we know you can get down to the nitty gritty. And so he does that. And so he ends up, hemming some people up, may have to kill a few people, may have to, bob and weed, do some things to figure out what really happened to old preacher man who might have been a little dirty, might not been as saved as he said he was. So, yeah. With all that being said, My Darkest Prayer was alright. Like, I can definitely see how his writing, S.A. Cosby's writing has definitely, it just gets better and better with each book. Because My Darkest Prayer was just okay, and then I enjoyed Blacktop Wasteland, and then Razorblade Tears, which is his latest one, was just amazing. So it's like, it's gotten, that's a writer for you. That's a writer. That is a writer. Definitely grown. And you can definitely still see, his signature voice and writing style in each book. Yeah. So yeah, that's My Darkest Prayer. Flying Solo. I read this way earlier in the month, and Flying Solo is basically about this woman. I thought first of all, I thought this was gonna give me like Frederick Bachman type of vibes, and we all know how much I really like Frederick Bachman's writing, and that's what I thought the story was gonna give me. It kind of did, but that's not to fault the author at all, because she doesn't have to, you know, give me a story that reminds me of Frederick Bachman. That's just what I thought it was going to be. It's a story about a woman who, this is the story of a girl who got down over. This is about a woman named, what's this woman named? Lori. And she goes back to her hometown in Maine because her great aunt has passed away and nobody else wants to go and clean out this woman's house. And she's got a whole bunch of shit up in there. And while doing it, she will reconnect with like her high school sweetheart and, you know, childhood best friend or whatever. And while cleaning out her aunt's house, she finds this wooden duck that may be worth something. The duck comes up missing and she has to figure out what happened to it. Who stole it? Was it the home adjuster who came to like, you know, appraise the house? Was it the man who was gonna steal like the stuff that was there or whatever? Who was it? It was alright. It was alright. Like, it just didn't do what I thought it was gonna do. It didn't deliver what I thought. And so yeah, but I still gave it like 3 stars because it wasn't completely bad. There were still some moments in there that I enjoyed. Honor. Someone in the comments on one of my previous videos recommended this book to me a couple of months ago. I want to say it was a couple of months ago. It wasn't too long ago. That's probably one of the best things one of y'all have ever done for me is recommend me this book. I loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. This is about a woman named Smita who lives in America. She's an Indian American and she goes back to India where she has not been since she was 14 years old. And she's covering a story because she's a journalist that her friend was covering but no longer can, you know, is fit to do so. And here she is trying to figure out what happened to this woman who was set on fire and also her husband was burned, was killed because he was burned alive. And now she's suing her brothers because they're the ones who did it. So Smita is here covering that story. And during this time we figure out what happened to that woman. We also figure out what happened to Smita and why she left, you know, this country over 20-something years ago. And will she find love while she's here? Will she, you know, old friendships? What? It's like a clash of cultures because this is her home, but it's also not her home. And it was just, it took me right in there. It just took me along for the ride and I read this in one sitting. It was amazing. I love this book. 5 stars. Yeah. Oh, I will say though, like once we had reached our peak and things were starting to like calm down or whatever and we were wrapping the book up, I feel like it should have ended just a little bit sooner. I feel like because it had lost that momentum and I needed it to just end, to just, you know, not just go up and end, but like come down and not go completely dead, but just come down and like settle and then end. Because I feel like we just dragged on a little bit of will they, won't they, will she not towards the end, and it just needed to just make a decision and go away. So it just left me speechless. But still a 5-star read and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I've already talked about these in a previous video. I read Lisa Jewell, The Invisible Girl. I read The Family Upstairs. I read The Family Remains, and I also read The Third Wife and Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I went down a rabbit hole. That's the title of the video. You can go check it out. So that's those. Also, The Fisherman, I talked about that in the previous video as well. I will put a link up here for that. And Hello Beautiful is also in that same video. So yeah, no need to talk about these again. The Survivor List. I talked about the Survivor List as well in the previous video. I did. Did I? Did I talk about River Demon, River Woman? I don't think I did. That book was just okay. It's basically, not just basically, it's about a woman who, God, it's got like magical realism in the book. She's married to this man. He gets accused of killing this woman who's very close to the both of them. But it's like, did he do it or did he not do it? Is he being set up? What? But what we don't know, but what the people don't know is that the wife, someone died that was close to her like years ago. So it's like, did she have something to do with this? And it's got like the whole Bruja witch thing going on. Yeah. I think I talked about this before. If I didn't, that's the gist of it. It was cool. It was alright. The Other Side of Night. I tried to read this book like 2 or 3 times and I was close to DNFing it. It was almost out of here. God damn. That's what I get for being dramatic for no reason. I bust my damn elbow. My God, today. How do I explain this book? Because I can't give away too much. It's one of those books. Like, I don't hate with people. I can't give away too much. And girl, just tell me what the fucking book is about. This woman named Harriet. She's a police detective investigator, something like that. She's been fired from her job, right? Because she did something bad. And she was dating this man named Ben who broke up with her. They went on 3 dates. And now she pissed at this man, talking about he broke her heart, he broke up with her. Now look, I know. Love has no time. We all know this. But 3 dates, and now you're gonna hold a grudge with this man for the rest of your life because you saying he broke up with you, broke your heart. Girl, y'all wasn't in no relationship. That's not breaking up. That's just him letting you know that, hey, for whatever reason, this ain't working out for me. And I'm just gonna, bow out right now. He didn't even ghost you, girl. He just told you. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset. You have a right. But going around telling everybody he broke up with you, girl, that's 3 dates. I wasn't in no relationship. He don't even know your middle name yet. Like, girl, Chelsea, come on now. Please. So, Harriet used to date this man named Ben. And Ben is now legal guardian for Elliot. You with me now? You following me? Harriet been fired from her job as a policewoman. She used to date Ben. Ben is now a legal guardian for Elliot because his parents are now dead. Who killed, or no, not who killed. Yeah. We don't know why these two parents died. Like, there's some suspicion going on. And it's Elliot, not Elliot, that's the child. It's Ben somehow involved. Harry is trying to figure this out. And people saying, oh, is you just doing this because, you mad at him because he broke up with you? Or are you really trying to figure out if Elliot is okay under his care? And so, from there, we take a ride, we take a journey. After those first few times, because I couldn't get past the second chapter at first, something just clicked. And this is another one I read straight through. And it just took me. It just took me, and I said, I'm going to go with you. Wherever you take me, I'm going. And it surprised me. This is not something that I probably would have regularly read had I known what it was actually going to be about, but I would recommend this. It may not be for everybody, but I would say at least give it a try. I think this might be a 5-star. This might be I'm feeling in here. It's saying just give it a 5-star. It's saying it's 5-star material. And so that's what I'm gonna go with for now. That's what I'm gonna go with. I have some questions for you. I don't remember much about this book. I do know that I didn't like it. The main character, she comes back to the high school, the prep school she used to go to. Yeah. Where when she was there, a girl mysteriously died and a black man went to jail for the murder of this white student. Now, she comes back and she's teaching a media class. Have I talked about this book? I feel like I talked about this before. I'm not sure. At this point, I don't know. At this point, I'm just losing my mind because there's so many books. That's what I get for reading 21 books in 1 month. So, she comes back to her prep school and she's teaching a media class. And the students in her class, have to do a podcast or whatever on some type of actual crime event. We all know I'm not a big fan of true crime. I think that entire genre needs to be abolished because they take, people's lives and try to turn them into fodder and entertainment when it's real people attached to these things. If you're not actually trying to figure out and get justice, it's not just entertainment. So there's that whole thing. But she has to come back and coach and teach these kids how to build a mini series, 6-episode podcast or whatever around some true event. And so one of the students chooses that crime that happened while old girl was at this school. The author is doing speaking on race and class and feminism and all a lot of important topics. But it's I don't know. It didn't do it. It didn't do it for me. I feel like, for one, it was way too long. We were following way too many people that did not matter to the story for the sake of throwing us off. And I hated the ending of the book. Absolutely hated it. You put me through all that and then this is what you leave me with? No. I'm sorry. I did not like it. Everyone in my family has killed someone. I like the last 4 chapters of that book. This book is about a family they an Australian family. They go somewhere. They somewhere in the mountains in the cold somewhere. It was like I don't even remember where we was at in this book because it was a lot going on. Everybody in this man's family has killed somebody, and he and the family are reuniting after the brother, who was the latest to kill somebody, he went to jail and now he's being released. They're all meeting up for a friendly reunion at some cabin or whatever where it's like a snowstorm and they get trapped there. People end up dead. We'll find out who did it, why they did it. It was a lot going on in this book, and I only like the last like 4 or 5 chapters, and if that could have been like the energy throughout the whole book, I would have enjoyed this a lot more. I did not start enjoying it until all the revelations started coming out and I figured out, oh, he did this and she did that and she said that. That was the best part about the book. Like just finding out, you know, all the answers. Going through it, no. Felix Ever After is a YA novel about a trans boy who is in his last year of high school, or right before his last year of high school, or right after his last year of high school. It's either in between junior senior year or it's right after senior year. I cannot remember. Damn, and I just read that book a couple of days ago. Any Hoosers. So Felix is a young trans boy and he is coming to terms like with his identity, sexuality. He is like just growing as a young person and getting ready to go off to college, and you know he's trying to figure out, I've never been in love, but my last name is actually Love. There's a whole bunch going on, as we all have going on in our teenage years. It's just a big glob of mess, but being a young trans person, it complicates things even more due to the society that we live in. Now, I know people say when you read YA, you have to be, you know, conscious of the fact that these are teenagers and teenagers will do teenage things. They will be annoying. And with that being said, Felix was very annoying. Like, not just because he was a teenager. He was just whiny, and like for the most part, I was just like, you getting on my nerves. And I can understand why people around you ready to cuss you out. But at the end of it, I wanted Felix to be happy. I wanted Felix to find joy and go on to live a blessed, happy, good life at the end of it. So I was not upset at reading this at the end of this book. I just wanted good things for Felix, but he still got on my nerves. It took like a Nancy Drew twist for a little while there, because we were trying to figure out something happened to him where somebody like betrayed him, and we spent a lot of time in this novel trying to figure out what happened. And along the way, Felix might hurt some people's feelings and he does some dirty things, and I'm just like, I didn't know, you know, we was pulling out the flashlights in the books trying to, you know, scooping through the halls, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, at the end of the day, you know, Felix, go be great. I also read the novella And Every Morning After It Gets Longer. Hold on. And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, which is a novella by Frederick Bachman. It's basically about an old man who's about to die and he's looking back on his life with his grandson and his son. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. It was cool. It's a novella. It didn't give me much, but it gave me just enough. This is my last book, The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. This is an author that I've seen around. I've seen her books in the stores, down to the shelves in the stores. I've seen them. And for some reason, I thought The Villa was gonna eat. I thought it was gonna serve up everything I needed. But it did not do that. It did not do that. No. Emily and Chess have been friends since they was in like middle school or something like that, and now they are 30 years old, and Emily is a writer of cozy mysteries and Chess is like a self-help guru who writes those type of, you know, get your shit together type of books. And first of all, Chess is a horrible friend. Emily should have been throwing hands with her every single page. She deserved to get hit right in her eye. Emily and Chess have not been the closest as of late. They still consider each other their best friend. You know, we're best friends, besties, but you know, they have their separate lives or whatever. So Chess comes to Emily and is like, hey, look, I rented this villa in Italy for the summer. I want you to come with me, get away from all the drama in your life because your man is done divorced you and trying to steal all your money. So let's just go, get away. We can both work and play and just, rejuvenate. While they are there, we also flash back to the 70s where in this exact same villa, a writer, a singer, and a rock star all, cohabitated here, and one of them ended up dead. So we follow that storyline, which was not needed at all. Like, I didn't need it. We follow along with Chess and Emily in the current times, and how what happened back then will influence these two now. I was just like, what's the point of this? What's the point of this? Because this dual timeline is adding nothing for me. It's doing nothing. It's doing nothing. It's doing nothing. I don't know. I just feel like I've heard a lot about this author and this is what I got. I don't know. I will try her again. I think I'm going to read the Wife Upstairs. I think she wrote that as well. I will try that. And if that don't work, then it's a no-go for me on Miss Rachel. It's a no-go. But, yeah. That's all I got. Those are all 21 books that I read in the month of March. I overall think I had a pretty decent reading month. It ended on a high note. It really did end on a high note. It was kind of rocky at first, but whew, yeah, that was a lot of books. But I was just in the zone, especially at the beginning of the month. It was every day. I was like, oh, I need to read something. I need to read something. It was feeding my brain. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've read any of these books, let me know down in the comments. If you were the person that recommended Honor to me, let me know down in the comments because I thank you and I thank you. Yeah, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. Share this video with somebody and I will see you in my next one. Bye.